everybody, welcome to day 27 of the Take Back Your Life video journey, 40 days of thinking right so that we can live right. Day 27. We made it.
We have made it to day 27.
And I tried to cut my finger off a little bit ago, so my finger's throbbing, and if I say weird things, it's because my finger hurts.
You're silly.
Glad you think that's so funny.
Yeah.
It hurt. I gotta be honest, I said a couple of bad words. So.
You were out there by yourself, too.
I'm sure that the Lord understands.
We've had this discussion before, with all of our friends, that what we say are bad words. They were not in existence.
Yeah, I mean, cuss words weren't a thing. English cuss words, let me put it that way, were not a thing whenever Jesus was on the earth. So I don't know that it's really a sin to say a cuss word. It's any more than it is to say shoot or crap or
because you're
whatever.
Saying it in your heart.
Yeah, I mean, the sentiment is the same, whether you say you moron or you call somebody something way worse.
Yeah. Okay, well, today is the best defense is a good offense.
Sort of like football. Talk some sports.
I don't know sports, so.
All right. What's our verse today?
Our verse for today is 1 John chapter 3, verse 8. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work.
And what does that mean?
It means that the devil is here to destroy everything that we're doing to keep us down. And Jesus came to flip that over. He said, not doing it.
The reason that we talk about the best defense is a good offense is because as we get closer to the place where we're thinking the way that God wants us to think, then our enemy is going to come at us with everything that he has. I mean, that's just his nature. And the thing that we have to keep our head around is the fact that he is a liar and nothing that he says is true. It may have partial truth in it, but it is not true. So we've been talking about thoughts throughout the course of this book. And again, Pastor Levi reiterates the fact, or states again, reiterates, that's a big fancy word, that our thoughts cannot be erased. They have to be replaced. So ultimately, if we're learning how to do things a different way through going through this book and getting our thoughts right, then the first thing that the devil is going to do is bring back the old thoughts, because we have, as we learned several days ago, we've worn a groove in the rock. And so we're used to thinking a certain way. And so that's where he's going to come. And it's going to be easier for him to get us to think in the old way, to go back to the things that we've known, rather than to push forward into the things that God's called us to.
And it's a proven fact that you have to tell somebody something typically 7 times before they'll even realize that they've heard it once, meaning that Pastor has said it several times. When we want somebody to hear something and to understand it, we're going to continue to repeat it at least 7 times before we know that they've even heard it one time. So whenever you start to be frustrated because those thoughts are continuing to come up, you have to give yourself some grace, and you have to say, okay, I've probably only told myself this 4 times, and then say it again, and then just keep going. And if you're trying to replace a negative thought that's been there for 10 years or 50 years, it's not going to be replaced in 7 times. You're going to have to continue to say it until that's your new script. That's your new movie that's going on in your head.
The new normal, as we've learned to say in the 2020s. Mm-hmm. So, and the thing of it is, whenever we start to do what God's called us to do, the enemy is going to ramp up the attacks, because he knows that we become a threat whenever we feel compelled to follow the call that God's placed on our lives. The thing that we have to remember is that we've got to do hard things. Satan is going to tell you every single time that it's much easier to go back the way that you came, which we learned in running towards the roar. That's a terrible idea, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure we're pushing forward. And then he says the devil is opposed to what he's afraid of. So let your fear help you sniff out what he's trying to snuff out. Let it be a diagnostic tool to determine your calling and run towards the roar.
It can be scary, but chances are what you're already going away from was uncomfortable or scary, or it wasn't getting you where you wanted to go.
Yeah, and Pastor reminds us not to discount the strongholds that we have in our lives. I mean, there are so many things that we're going to have to work through time and time again in order to get past the area where we are most vulnerable. And like April said, I mean, if you've done something for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, it's not going to change overnight. And so we have to be willing to accept the fact that those areas are our weak points and set up our squad, like we talked about yesterday, so that we can have some accountability in this.
Another bit of encouragement for you. The things that you have done for decades at this point, chances are you did those slowly without a lot of focus of where you were headed. And you're just happening to get to where you're at. And whenever you decide you want to go in a different direction and you focus your actions and your thoughts and your prayers on going in that direction, the change happens much quicker than it did whenever you just let things happen for decades. So like we talked about several days ago with Rockford, whenever he was on that slow gain of weight and he said, no, I'm not doing this anymore, and he turned around and went the other way, within 6 months he was 100 pounds down. So it was a focus that it took years to get there and then just a short time to go the other way and get back.
We have to be reminded that we can do this. We can change these pathways. We can change these habits. We can change these thoughts, but it is not going to be easy. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort. And so that's why Pastor says the best defense is a good offense. We have to be willing to get on our knees and can use the power that we have. We talked about it yesterday, and so you look like you have something.
Well, I was going to say that was the part right above where you had highlighted where it says that Satan's going to tell you he's going to give you everything, do the easy way, and God's going to say, no, we're going to go this way. And so it says, if Satan is telling you to take the shortcut, you're going to need to say, I'm going to take the long, hard road instead. Go the exact opposite.
So the last thing that we wrap up with is Pastor talking about the difference between the jab and the cross, which I thought was interesting. So, the jab in a boxing match keeps you busy, keeps your opponent busy, I should say. And you do real damage when you use the cross. And so, seems pretty obvious to me that that's a great analogy and a great crossover use of the word cross. Whenever we use the cross is when we have the most power. So I'm sure that you picked up on that. I just thought I would clarify in case there was somebody that was half asleep. These things come out in the morning, so somebody could still be a little sleepy.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And it's Friday, so.
It is Friday. So you guys make sure that you're not getting distracted by just using your jab, but use that cross. Get on your knees, ask God for help, support, wisdom. Get with your squad and tell them what's going on. Help them, or let them help you stay accountable. We're making great progress. We're 27 days into this. I'm sure that you've identified some clear areas where things need to change. And I'm almost 100% certain that since we've been in this book that you've experienced some pushback. So let me encourage you to stay strong, stay focused, and continue to do the small things each day that will help you to be successful.
And find those verses that you can continue to bring up as that opposition hits you. And they gave you a couple today. There's been a couple in days past, but find those scriptures that you're able to drink in, and it gives you encouragement.
All right, everybody. You're doing great. I'm thankful that you're sticking with us and that you are hopefully taking back your life from the destructive thoughts and the destructive patterns that we have had up to this point. I know that it's making a huge difference in the way that I think and the way that I'm pushing forward and the things I'm believing for. And so I want you to be able to say that as well. So we'll be back tomorrow with day 28. And then, man, we're just a few days away from being done. I can hardly believe how quickly this is going. So we'll be back tomorrow, day 28. Hope has a rope. You guys have a great day. We'll see you then.